So you have the handout, and remember, just so you can see that I'm not making up the story, you can see the actual text from the Vilna Gemara over on the first page. This is from Tractate Bava Metzia. And if we get through it today, I don't know, it's a bit of a long story. If we get through it, we'll watch the video. And then I have the lyrics to hand out for you. So if it's your first time at the class, you know that we're using a curriculum where every text we're learning comes with a video description or a video rendition, interpretation of what we're learning. And the interpretation is sometimes more interesting than the text itself and more telling than the text itself. So let's start. This is a unit that we are learning all about rabbinic authority, sources of authority. We learned two stories already, two different stories in the Talmud. We did the oven of Achnai, right? The first text we learned took 2 classes, and then we learned another story about the crowns on the letters. Remember, one day Rabbi Akiva will come along and he will teach on the crowns of the letters, and we learn that story as well about rabbinic authority and the authority to interpret as a great rabbi might see fit. Today we're learning the story of the Chavruta, the partnership between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Also found in Tractate Bava Metzia, a very, very famous story, a cute story, a story that leaves you thinking and bothered, which are stories that I tend to like. And it is part of this unit on rabbinic authority. The heading for this story is "It's Lonely at the Top." You see that on the front page. It's lonely at the top. Okay, let's read slowly. Rabbi Yochanan said, "I alone remain of the beautiful ones of Jerusalem." Interesting. Ana ishtare mishpire Yerushalayim. I am the one who remains. What's he talking about here? What do you think? The beautiful ones of Jerusalem. Is he talking about his physical appearance? We have to see what he's talking about. What does it mean? Does he mean his intellect, maybe his spirituality, or is he talking about how good he looks? If one wishes to see the beauty of Rabbi Yochanan, he should bring a silver cup, fresh from the polisher's shop, and fill it with red pomegranate seeds, and encircle its brim with a crown of red roses, and place it between the sun and the shade. That ray, which emanates from the cup, is similar to the beauty of Rabbi Yochanan. So now we know what we're talking about. Isn't this strange? A text about spirituality and religiosity and Torah, talking about how good looking Rabbi Yochanan was, right? That the only thing that you could really compare to the beauty of Rabbi Yochanan is this beautiful, freshly polished silver goblet. That is the only thing that you could compare. Is it true that Rabbi Yochanan was the most beautiful man, but did not master? So master is, if you look at the footnote, it says master is probably Rabbi Bana'a, who was a seldom cited but important source in the Amoraic period. Did not master say that the beauty of Rav Kahana was similar to the beauty of Rabbi Abahu, and the beauty of Rabbi Abahu was similar to the beauty of Jacob, our patriarch, and the beauty of Jacob, our patriarch, was similar to the beauty of Adam, the first man. Yet he did not mention Rabbi Yochanan in his list. Look what they're fighting about. Who's the best looking of all of the rabbis? And Rabbi Bana has a list, right, of here are the best looking rabbis, and I guess not just rabbis, because he's quoting Jacob the patriarch, citing Jacob the patriarch, citing Adam Harishon, the first man, right, and saying these are the best looking ones, and Rabbi Yochanan did not even make the list. Rabbi Yochanan is different because he did not have a beard, and he is therefore not listed. If you look at the footnote, it says Rashi's interpretation. We don't know what exactly it means when the Talmud says, well, he's not on the list because he had a beard, but it does make sense maybe to think that Rabbi Bana was listing the rabbis who looked closely like Adam, the first man, like Adam and Eve, and Rabbi Yochanan had a beard, and Adam did not have a beard. Now, how do you know Adam didn't have a beard? I don't know. Presumably, because he was born into this world, he was born without a beard, because that would have taken time. So, Rabbi Yochanan didn't make the list. This is the introduction. It's a cute little argument about who the best-looking rabbis are of all time. If you ask some interpreters on the Talmud, I mean, it's disturbing, is it not? Like, what are they talking about? Why do we care who the best-looking rabbis are? And that should bother you. Why are we caring? And what stage are we setting, perhaps, for the continuation of the story as we continue to read it? Is this setting a stage, or is it an unrelated story? We'll have to see. Rabbi Yochanan would go and sit by the gates of ritual immersion. He said, when the daughters of Israel ascend from commanded immersion, let them encounter me, in order that they have sons beautiful like me, and sons who learn Torah like me. So we see here that Rabbi Yochanan's character is being painted, and he sounds like a guy who really is in love with himself. The story begins with, listen, I am the best-looking rabbi that there ever was, the only remaining good-looking rabbi out of Jerusalem. And then the story is told that he would sit by the mikvah gates. When would a woman go to the mikvah? Remember, a woman goes to the mikvah after her menstrual cycle. She's leaving the mikvah, prepared to have intercourse with her husband. And who does she see? By the way, in Jewish law, you are not allowed to, a woman has to go to the mikvah at night so that nobody even sees. It's considered a very private moment. But this arrogant guy, not only does he not give her privacy, he's sitting right outside the gates of the mikvah so that every woman should see him as they're walking by. And what will happen? They might be thinking of him, they might be inspired, or I don't know, some blessing might happen. You can interpret this the way you want, but he thinks he's doing them a favor. When the woman walks by me, she might be inspired somehow, and she'll have daughters. If she has daughters, they will be... Oh, excuse me, it doesn't say daughter. It doesn't even say daughters. You can read into that the way you want. She'll have sons who are just as good looking as me and who are learning Torah like me. The rabbi said to Rabbi Yochanan, are you not afraid of the ayin hara? Are you not afraid of the evil eye? What are they saying? When Jews say Kenei Nahora, what do they mean when they say that? It's usually because we've acknowledged some way that we are blessed, and we're nervous about putting that blessing. There's a concept called Al Tiftach Pela Satan. Don't use your mouth to give Satan an opportunity to take away good things from you. So here he is talking about how beautiful he is. How his very presence at the mikvah will help bring forth more people just like him, as good looking and as studious as him. And the rabbis say, aren't you inviting, by doing all this and showing off your talents and your attributes, aren't you inviting the Kenei Nahora? Aren't you inviting the Ayin Hara? This is a source for where that comes from. Whenever you hear people say Kenei Nahora, this is a source for where it comes from. You're using an expression that is centuries and centuries old. When you've been blessed in some way, don't show it off. Keep quiet about it. Be humble about it. Kenei Nahora. Rabbi Yochanan said to the rabbis, I descend from the seed of Joseph, upon whom the evil eye has no power. If you remember the story of Joseph, Joseph is described as a very good-looking young man, right? And he is remember, Potiphar's wife goes after him, and yet he's still able to achieve success. And so the interpretation is Joseph had ruled above the evil eye. Fortune smiled on Joseph, right? We're going to read in a few months the story of Joseph. We're a bit early, but if you know the play and you know the story, Joseph's story is luck was on his side. And he was able to ascend to become second to Pharaoh because he got lucky, right? With his ability to interpret dreams, that the brothers had the idea to sell him instead of kill him. Luck was on his side, and I'm a descendant of Joseph. In my view, this is just the way of Rabbi Yochanan telling to, who was it who challenged him? It was the rabbis, saying to them, I don't have to worry about that. Think now of the picture that is painted of Rabbi Yochanan. Very confident, very self-assured, very into himself, thinks he's the smartest, thinks he's the best looking, thinks he rules above the evil eye. Wow. So far, do you like him? For it is written in the Bible, Joseph is a fruitful son by a spring. Oh, interesting. So because Joseph, this is at the end of Sefer Bereshit, at the end of the first book of the Bible, remember, there are blessings that Jacob gives to all of his sons. And when Jacob blesses Joseph, he says, you are Alei Ayin. Alei Ayin was meant to mean you are like a fruitful son by a spring. It's a way of saying you're a great son. What a wonderful son you are. You've given me nourishment like a spring gives nourishment. But Rabbi Abahu said, don't read the words in the verse as saying by a spring, Alei Ayin, read it Ulei Ayin, like Me'al, the Hebrew Me'al, on top of the Ayin. The Ayin is the Kenei Nahora. So they interpret, how is it that Joseph is able to be above the power of the evil eye? Because of the blessing that was bestowed upon him by his father, which said that Joseph did not have to worry about bad omens in life. He could do what he pleased and didn't have to worry about anything bad coming to him. Rabbi Yossi, the son of Hanina, said that the principle that the evil eye has no power over the seed of Joseph is derived from the following biblical verse. And let them grow, vayidgu. Vayidgu, let them grow, as a multitude in the midst of a land. There's a famous song, Vayidgu larav bekerev haaretz, be like fish and multiply and grow over the land. Just as water covers the fish in the sea, and the evil eye has no power over them, so too the evil eye has no power over the seed of Joseph. So this is the Talmud explaining Rabbi Yochanan's statement, who says, I am the great-great-great-great-grandson of Joseph, and Joseph is above the evil eye. And now the Talmud proves why everybody who is the seed of Joseph can live his life without worrying about the Kanei Nahora. Okay, now let's jump into the meat of the story. One day Rabbi Yochanan was bathing in the Jordan. Reish Lakish saw Rabbi Yochanan and jumped into the Jordan after him. Now, why did he jump after him? Keep that in mind, that question. Rabbi Yochanan said to Reish Lakish, your strength should be used for Torah. So Reish Lakish must be very, very strong. We know a little bit about Reish Lakish that he was a bit of a bandit. So he must have been a very tough, strong guy. And maybe he's chasing after Rabbi Yochanan. We don't know why. But Rabbi Yochanan says to him, your strength should be used for Torah. In other words, you're a bit of a brute, and as this strong, tough guy, why don't you use your strength for something good? Why don't you learn Torah? And Reish Lakish fires back at him, saying, your beauty for women. In other words, you're using your beauty. You can interpret this the way you want. And I know this is a little bit weird. It's two guys bathing, probably naked in a bath. They're complimenting each other. There's some people who have read that into the story a little bit. I think it's a bit far-fetched. I think it's Reish Lakish telling Rabbi Yochanan, listen, you think I waste my time with banditry and you want me to learn Torah? You're wasting your time learning Torah because you're so good looking. You should be, the romancing every lady in town. Right? You shouldn't be wasting your time in the yeshiva, in the Beit Midrash. You're so beautiful, you should be out dating people. Rabbi Yochanan said to Reish Lakish, if you repent, and you see it says in the footnote, Reish Lakish was formerly a robber and a gladiator. If you repent, I will give you my sister, who is more beautiful than I. Look at how his arrogance, and he accepts. Look at the following line. Reish Lakish accepts. Okay, fine. I'll learn Torah, but I get your sister. He wanted to jump and return to retrieve his clothes, but he was not able to. Rabbi Yochanan taught Reish Lakish Bible and Mishnah and made Reish Lakish into a great man. One day they were debating in the study house. This is like, they're jumping ahead in the story. The story is Rabbi Yochanan takes him under his wing and they become very close friends, right? And so much so that Rabbi Yochanan takes him under his wing and teaches him everything. One day they were debating in the study house. The sword and the knife and the dagger and the spear and the handsaw and the sickle, from what point in their manufacturing process are they susceptible to contracting ritual impurity? Look at this again. It's funny, when Bava Metzia, this tractate of Talmud, which is the same tractate of Talmud which included the story of the oven of Achnai, right? The oven of Achnai was also a debate about the susceptibility of impurity of an oven. And it was a way we figured out of the story of saying they were arguing about something minute. Not a big thing, but a little thing. Something not important. And look how everything that happened and the giant revolution that happened just because of an argument over a little oven. Well, here they're debating over what point in the process does a knife become susceptible, different kinds of knife become susceptible to impurity. At what point is it, when it's sharpened, is it before it's sharpened, when it's finished, before it's finished? I'm not an expert on knife manufacturing, but I think it's a way of the Talmud saying they were arguing about a little sophisticated discussion. In other words, Reish Lakish by this point had learned a lot, right? They weren't learning Aleph Bet anymore. This was complicated stuff. At what point does a dagger and all these different kinds of swords, at what time can they contract ritual impurity? Rabbi Yochanan said, from when they are smelted in the furnace. Reish Lakish said, from when they are polished in water. Rabbi Yochanan said to Reish Lakish, a robber knows his robbery trade. You see what he's saying to him? They're having an argument about nothing, and it's supposed to be about, at what point does a dagger contract ritual impurity? But Rabbi Yochanan, who's really being painted here as a jerk, self-obsessed jerk, it's crazy, the stories in the Talmud. He says to Reish Lakish, I guess you would know better about knives than me. What's he saying? What's the connotation there? Yeah, you know knives. You're a thief. He's reminding Reish Lakish. Remember, years have passed since he has abandoned his evil ways, and now he's being reminded. Hey, I remember who you used to be. Used to be a thief, and so since we're talking about knives, you're a bigger expert than me. Everyone understands that? You understand what he's saying? Reish Lakish said to Rabbi Yochanan, and in what way have you benefited me? So, he picks a fight, Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Reish Lakish fights back. In what way have you benefited me? There, when I was a robber, they called me my master. And here, when I'm a Torah scholar, they called me my master. What's he saying, Reish Lakish? What have you done for me? You said everything was going to be great for me when I'm a Torah scholar. You said that this was the road I should follow. Well, you know what? I was important when I was a robber, and I'm important now. I was important among a different circle. Now I'm important among another circle. Doesn't make a difference. You've done nothing for me, Rabbi Yochanan. He fires back. Rabbi Yochanan said to Reish Lakish, I benefited you because I brought you close to God. They are being described as arguing over the things a friend, this argument sounds familiar, right? The kinds of things maybe friends argue about. They got in a little spat. Rabbi Yochanan should not have brought up the fact that he knew more about knives than him because he used to be a robber. Rabbi Yochanan said that, and Reish Lakish was very sensitive. You've done nothing for me. You think you're so great. Maybe I should have stayed a robber. And Rabbi Yochanan replies to him, well, I brought you close to God, and that's something worthy in itself. But look where this goes. Rabbi Yochanan's spirit weakened. Reish Lakish became weak. This whole argument it is never resolved, right? The Talmud does not say, and they made up and became friends again. Actually, the Talmud says the fighting over this little issue, the Talmud abbreviates the story. But you could imagine this playing out in real time, that they got in a fight. And the two of them became, after studying many, many years together, Reish Lakish knew nothing, And Rabbi Yochanan taught him the laws of purity and impurity, which is a very sophisticated subject. And when this spat happens, they both become weakened. They're not, I think that when the Talmud says they both became weakened, it's a way of the Talmud saying this fight exhausted them. They didn't resolve it. It sat on them. The loss of what they once had. Rabbi Yochanan's sister, who was Reish Lakish's wife, came and cried before Rabbi Yochanan and said, "Do something for the sake of my son." Well, why is she saying that? Obviously, Reish Lakish was so weakened, was so saddened, he couldn't even be a proper father to his son. He was so saddened by the dissolution of their friendship. Rabbi Yochanan said to his sister, quoting a biblical verse, "Leave your orphans, I will sustain them." Oh, Rabbi Yochanan is a stubborn guy. He quotes a biblical verse and says, I don't care about your son. I'll take care of your son. Your son is an orphan. He's so angry at Reish Lakish. Even the argument, can't you just make up so that he can be a better father at home? Give him some peace of mind. Even that argument does not persuade Rabbi Yochanan. It's incredible how realistic the Talmud, a story the Talmud paints about its heroes. Rabbi Yochanan is a major, major figure in the Talmud, and here he is being painted in such an unfavorable light. Arrogant, obsessed with his looks, sitting at the gate of the mikvah, unwilling to forgive his friend, rude with the way that he debates his friend. Mark.
Why is he calling them orphans? Is it because he believes that
He's quoting a verse in the Torah. It's a way of telling his sister, I don't care. Let your kid be an orphan. I ain't apologizing. And Rabbi Yochanan said to his sister, where am I? Rabbi Yochanan's sister continued to plead, "Do something for the sake of my impending widowhood." And she says, he's going to kill himself. He's going to die. This is how bad of a place he is in. And Rabbi Yochanan said to his sister, quoting the continuation of the same biblical verse, "And your widows shall trust in me." Whoa, he is sharp. Another way of saying, I don't care. You'll be a widow, you'll have Hashem. Your son will be an orphan, he'll have Hashem. I ain't making up with this guy. I am right, and he is wrong. Rabbi Shimon, the son of Lakish, died. And Rabbi Yochanan grieved much after him. Now this is interesting. The rabbi who was given an opportunity to make up is grieving after he hears that Reish Lakish has died. He's had a change of heart. That's the same. Reish Lakish is the same as Shimon, the son of Lakish. Same guy. I think it says it on the first footnote. Nickname for Rabbi Shimon, the son of Lakish. Same guy. The rabbi said to each other, "Who will go and settle Rabbi Yochanan's mind? Let Rabbi Elazar, the son of Pedat, go, for his traditions are sharp." Rabbi Elazar the son of Padat, I think when it says his traditions are sharp, Rashi says he will be able to settle Rabbi Yochanan's misery or his grief. Because Rabbi Yochanan is sort of an arrogant guy. And remember when his sister comes to him and says, can't you just make up? He quotes Bible verses. And it gives you a bit of a picture of who Rabbi Yochanan was. What kind of person quotes a Bible verse to respond to somebody? Think about that. Somebody who thinks he's smarter than everybody else, right? A smart aleck, who he could have just told his sister, I'm sorry, I don't like him and I'm not going to make up with him, but he quotes a Bible verse. He's a man who's very, very moved by knowledge. And when he feels he's right, when justice is on his side, he will sustain his point. And Rabbi Elazar ben Padat, when it says he has strong traditions, it's a way, I think, of the Talmud saying, Rabbi Elazar ben Padat thinks the same way. When Rabbi Yochanan will fire a biblical verse at him, he'll be able to fire back one in return. They work the same way. They're both people who like arguing or who like representing their emotions with words, with sacred text. Rabbi Elazar, the son of Padat, went and sat before Rabbi Yochanan. For everything Rabbi Yochanan said, Rabbi Elazar, the son of Padat, said, there's a paraita that agrees with you. What's going on? Rabbi Elazar ben Padat was sent. Help make Rabbi Yochanan feel better. Rabbi Elazar ben Padat thinks that he can make Rabbi Yochanan feel better by saying, oh, you're right. Everything you're saying, you're right. He knows Rabbi Yochanan's character. This is a guy who likes people giving him the yes treatment, or so we think. We're going to get there at the end. But it seems that he's somebody who likes having people who agree with him around. Rabbi Elazar ben Padat tries that strategy. You're right, you're right, you're right. There are some who say that Rabbi Elazar ben Padat is not just being sent to comfort Rabbi Yochanan. He's being sent to replace Reish Lakish. So why is Rabbi Yochanan crying? Why is he grieved at Reish Lakish's death? Because he lost his student. He lost his investment. And maybe Rabbi Elazar ben Padat can replace this student and investment. But look what the Talmud's going to say about their relationship, which is different. Their relationship, which looks like all he's saying, Rabbi Elazar ben Padat, is, I agree with you. Here's a text that agrees with you. Rabbi Yochanan said to Rabbi Elazar, the son of Padat, are you like the son of Lakish? The son of Lakish, whenever I would say something, he would ask me 24 questions. And I answer him 24 answers. And tradition would intrinsically expand through this process. And you say that there's a baraita that agrees with me. Do I not already know what I say is right? What was it that Rabbi Yochanan had in his previous relationship that he is missing with Rabbi Elazar ben Padat?
He had a sparring partner.
Right. Someone to challenge him, and notice the words, and intrinsically expand the tradition through this process. Why would the tradition intrinsically expand? Right. Explanations, questions, answers. The more you challenge me, the more we could learn. The more Torah there would be. All you do is just say, I agree, I agree, I agree. And this is, we're not expanding anything. Rabbi Yochanan would go and tear his clothes and cry, where are you, the son of Lachish? Where are you, the son of Lachish? And he would cry until he went insane. The rabbis prayed for Rabbi Yochanan, and he died. Okay, now time, so we're going to see the movie. This movie, the way it's done, it's a rap. So that's why I'm giving you the lyrics, because the rap is hard to follow. I want you to have the lyrics, right? So, everyone have a copy? Okay, I'm waiting. Ready? Try and follow along with the lyrics. Can you see it on the screen?
Podcast. 6 days in San Francisco, 6 stories, 12 artists.
Studio podcast.
Pay attention to the lyrics, because it's hard to...
Okay, son. Get down. I need you to come here. I want to tell you something that you really gotta hear about your dad, Reish Lakish, a thug phenomenon, and my pretty boy brother, Rabbi Yochanan.
But who's telling the story? It's the sister, the wife. She's telling the story to her... It's brilliant the way she does. She's telling the story to her son. Get down, I need you to come here. I need you to tell you something that you need to hear about your dad, Reish Lakish, a thug phenomenon, and my pretty boy brother, Rabbi Yochanan.
And my pretty boy brother, Rabbi Yochanan. Gladiator, ripped, pirate, clever. Reish wasn't always good, but there was no one better, my dear son. I see Reish in you as you grow tall, how he loves the ladies, how he gave them his all. One day, Reish dove in the river, a champion swimmer, pursuing a woman like a shark approaching dinner. His target was a beauty second only to me. His target was my brother Yochanan. You see, so beautiful that when he walked his path glistened, and so smart that when he talked, people listened, like the only one at a party wanting to dance. He was lonely at the top, I sat and so starts the romance. Yohanan's narration was like, dang boy, you could be a scholar, bring your strength to the book. And Reish was like, dang boy, always trying to holler, you could be a woman with those looks. To keep Reish around, he offered finer than he had. He offered Reish marriage to me. Just say bye to gladiating, bye to thievery, and let's get into some Torah study. When two pieces fit just right, Yohanan's mind, Reish's might. One calls out black and the other calls white, and they Torah through the day and the night. One day, in their studies, weapons came up, and my brother was like, you would know this stuff. And Reish was like, why the dish? I was the master of that, and I'm the master of this. A small comment, but a huge disaster. Yohanan saw Reish just wanting to be master. It wasn't about Torah, and it wasn't about God. And Yohanan got ill. He couldn't go on. I pleaded, forgive Reish. thinking of you. But this man of principle and the things that they do. Yochanan's mind left, Rachel's body left too. That's how your dad died. Sounds crazy, but it's true. And now again, my brother was alone, having loved and lost, but the fault was his own. The rabbis missed Yochanan, the only sharp task, so they sent in a fresh rabbi to try to win him back. You're so right, Yochanan, this rabbi always said, just reminding him that his best friend was dead. I can't take this, please make the pain end. Where are you, my one and only friend?
Cute, eh? So interesting, what I thought was very interesting about the video depiction of the story. What was it that brought Reish Lakish to dive into the river? Well, according to the rap, pursuing a woman like a shark approaching dinner. His target was my brother, Yochanan, you see. So maybe he was so good looking. There might be some homoerotic stuff in here, but I don't think there is. I just think he was so beautiful that maybe he confused him to be a woman bathing in the river. But definitely it was his looks that drew Reish Lakish into the river. That's an interesting interpretation of the story. The other thing that I think is great that's not necessarily clear in the text a small comment but a huge disaster. Yochanan saw Reish just wanting to be master. What was it that, and here you get sort of I think the real theme of this story in those couple of lines, which isn't a theme not necessarily evident in the text itself. Reish saw the ugly side of Yochanan, which was the piece of him that wanted to be the best, that wanted to be the master. And that's why the argument that they have, what is the argument that they have? It's about a sword, right? And at what stage does a sword contract impurity? And then Reish Lakish says to him, I was a master before, and I'm a master now. What do you think that means when Reish Lakish said that? It's a unique way of telling him, you did nothing for me. Reish Lakish is saying to Rabbi Yochanan, you did nothing to me, I had it all before, but he uses a strange word. I was a master then, and I'm a master now. I think that's important words. How does Rabbi Yochanan perhaps hear those words? So I think, you're all being shy, I think Rabbi Yochanan hears those words as a challenge to his authority. Do you hear what I'm saying? Rabbi Yochanan, this story is introduced with his beauty, and what is all that about? It's to paint the picture of Rabbi Yochanan's character, who thought of himself as the best and the best and the best and the best. And here he takes a student who's a brute under his wing, and Reish Lakish proves to be a very smart and advanced student. And he turns to him in the middle of this argument. What sets off Reish Lakish and what sets off Rabbi Yochanan? What sets off Reish Lakish is he's reminded by Rabbi Yochanan, hey, you would know about knives. You're nothing but a, right, he's saying to him, you're nothing. You're never going to be at my level. he might be saying it in a complimentary way, like, I guess you would know about knives. But there's no compliment there. He's saying to him, you're not at my level. You're still just a thief. And what sets off what sets off Rabbi Yochanan? Rabbi Yochanan is set off by the comment, I was a master before, and now they call me my master. It's really important not to miss that, and the movie picks up on it. It's Rabbi Yochanan realizing, I've got a rival. I've got somebody who might be just as good as me. And that is a threat to him. He's the master. Rabbi Yochanan's the master, not Reish Lakish. This theme is, I think, what ties together the whole story. But before we end, what time is it? Oh, it's only 10:30.
Can we see the movie again?
You want to see the movie again? Anyone else want to see the movie again? Just Ross?
Put your hands up.
What do you want to see? What did you miss?
Well, it was just clever.
I was reading the text. I wasn't watching the movie.
Oh, so you want to watch it? Okay, fine.
Yeah, that's right.
It's only 3 minutes. Here.
I was reading.
Okay, but before, I just want to, let's talk a little bit more, and then I'll show the movie one more time. Maybe it'll help us read into it a little bit more. What's the message here? What's the point? What's the story? Everyone's dead in the end. What is the lesson?
I think there's one line that's very important.
Yep.
And that's where it says, a small comment, but a huge disaster.
Yes.
And it shows the importance of words. I mean, we're always talking about
Great.
about when you say something, it's out there. And we're seeing that all over the place now. I mean, words are very important
Yes.
to our understanding of anything. So here, this was an offhanded conversation. You called it a spat.
Yeah.
But it wound up causing the death of two masters.
Right. I think that's a great theme from this story. We've seen it before in the previous story about the oven of Achnai. What words you are using. How to argue with somebody respectfully. And how in this, again, it's another story about how a conflict, an argument, turns into a giant fight between two great Jewish leaders over disrespectful comments made in the course of their discussion. That's definitely a theme. But I don't think it's the theme. Yeah.
So, I can't get my head around kind of the beginning. Like, I think we can't skip past the physical. Like,
Yep.
Because so much is, so they, prior to their theological discourse, their strengths were in the physical.
Yep.
Rav Yochanan was
Beautiful.
And Rav Lakish was strong.
Yes.
So they brought their physical beauty and their strength, and then for whatever reason they kind of sublimated it in the yeshiva. I kind of can't figure it out. It's obviously very important, or it wouldn't be the.
It's
the large-
definitely an important part of the story. The compliment that they give to each other, the compliments that they give to each other. Okay, so this is my answer to that question is these were two self-absorbed people who really could not see beyond themselves. So how do people like that form a friendship? They see something in the other that reminds them of themselves. Oh, you're really good looking too. I'm a person who's obsessed with how I look on the outside. you look like that kind of person too. I'm a person who really cares about the way I look, and you're a person that really cares about the way you look. Their friendship is formed by the same criteria, which are bad criteria, right? Rabbi Yochanan may have been very wise, but I think the Talmud is making fun of him. It's how obsessed he is with his physical appearance. And the only person who could ever be his friend, right, is somebody who's equally beautiful and who's stronger perhaps than him, has some physical quality, which is all he seems to care about, that might be better than a physical quality that he has. That's what brings them together.
And in the rap, you're talking about making fun of them.
Yes.
And the rap, it says, but these men of principle and the things that they do.
Yes.
She is making fun of these men of principle.
Yes. Yeah. Men of principle is another way of saying these stubborn men. These two stubborn men. The problem is, these stubborn men both used their stubbornness in the end to expand Torah. So you have a statement, I think, in the story about two people who are not perfect, but who find a way together to bring forth beautiful new expansions of the Torah. Right? And why are they able to do that? Because since they are, it seems, since they together both value the same things, they can move on beyond I'm the best looking, I'm the most beautiful, and instead talk about Torah. And so they ask each other questions, and they give answers. They're not stuck in I'm so much better looking than you. There's a mutual respect. There's a mutual respect there for each other. But it's always, I think, on a very thin ice. There's a mutual respect, but Rabbi Yochanan still regards himself as, I'm better than him, he's still a robber. And Reish Lakish regards himself as better than him because he came from that place as a robber. And doesn't a person who came from an inferior place but then achieves the same level, isn't someone like that entitled to more respect? But Rabbi Yochanan doesn't recognize it in him. Does not see him as a master like he is a master.
I wanted to just reference the Joseph story.
Yeah.
So Joseph, of course, was a spoiled brat and beautiful, but he of course grew. He had self-awareness and forgiveness towards the end. The brothers had self-awareness and forgiveness. So here's the story of these two rabbis who didn't have that. They didn't have emotional or spiritual growth. They both died.
Interesting.
Can I ask you
Yep.
about the Joseph story? It says
Yep.
descend from the seed of Joseph onto the evil eye.
The evil eye.
Has
Yep.
no power. But Joseph's, maybe I'm wrong, but Joseph's family seems to disappear from history. I mean, we learn about Joseph and we know who his two sons are, but are they ever, his family, is it ever referenced again?
Well, Ephraim and Manasseh are Joseph's sons, right? So yes, if they're referenced again, these are major tribes in Israel, Ephraim and Manasseh. But remember, I think that verse is just being used. It's incidental to the story. The real point of the whole introduction of Joseph, there could be something there. Joseph's story, and I haven't put my finger on it yet, but Joseph was also praised for his wisdom and for his physical beauty. So maybe it's not an accident that he's the one who's quoted, that his story is the one that's quoted. But at the end of the day, his story is only used to bolster Rabbi Yochanan's characterization as an arrogant jerk. Right? I don't need to worry about the evil eye. I don't care. I sit at the bathhouse and show all the women how beautiful I am. And I wish upon them that they should have sons that are as good looking as me and as smart as me. Right? And here's the proof from the Bible that I don't have to worry about the evil eye. It's painting him in a very unfavorable light. And by the way, another interesting thing that I want you to pick up, I'll show Roz the video again, but don't forget where it says at the end in the lyrics, and now again, my brother was alone. The lyrics of the song explain the story as one where at the beginning, Rabbi Yochanan's is depicted as unique and alone. Right? Who would want to be his friend? But through his friendship with Rabbi Akiva, through his friendship with Reish Lakish, he's able to discover something wonderful, which is that the Torah can expand when you have a contrarian voice that you respect, right? That is intelligent. Torah can expand. And when he loses that voice, he goes back, right? My brother again was back to being alone. And he couldn't bear being alone. And I asked the question, what is the point of this story? What's the message being given here? This is a unit, remember, about authority, rabbinic authority. That's the hint I'll give you. What could possibly be the lesson here about rabbinic authority and who makes, how Jewish law works and how rabbis derive their power and how that's unique in rabbinic Judaism?
The Talmud is full of rabbis arguing with each other.
That's right.
And that's how they expand on the learning.
That's right. This is a crucial text, not because it's a nice little story, not only because it teaches us about how to have respectful discourse, but it teaches us that Jewish law comes from debate, deliberation, multiple voices. That's how things are determined. Not because the smartest person in the room declares himself to be a sole authority. And one should invite dispute. One should invite debate. This is a text about expression, freedom of speech. And I don't know why, but the next line is left out here from the English text. The Talmud says, from here we get the phrase, chavruta o mituta. From this story we get the expression, either have a study partner or have death. Chavruta o mituta. If you go to any yeshiva, how do Jews study together? They study b'chavruta. There's two people, sometimes more, but usually two people, who review a text together. And the idea is not, you have the wrong partner if it's a partner like Rabbi Elazar ben Padad who says, you're right. It's somebody who can challenge you, who can ask questions. That is the way Torah expands, through debate and conflict. And every person can find a chavruta that is right for them. Even the most self-absorbed, lonely, arrogant, strong-minded, stubborn jerk like Rabbi Yochanan found somebody who could be his chavruta. Was a robber, of all people, it was a robber, but why did it work? Why did the robber work? Because the robber respected him, and the robber knew that he had that respect was received in turn. They complemented each other. They both valued the same thing, to be the best looking. Whatever it was that brought them together, it created a friendship. And when the friendship ended over a silly thing, they both just died. Because life is not worth living anymore. When, for Rabbi Yochanan, all you have are people who say, you're the nicest, you're the best, you're the smartest. Everybody just keeps complimenting him and telling him how right he is. There's no point in living anymore. This is it's a message about the transmission of Torah, but I would argue there's also a beautiful message here about friendships, about the people we have in our own lives, about how we have constructive disagreement, respectful disagreement. Okay, we'll see the movie one more time. Now you can watch the movie.
6 stories, 12 artists.
Synagogue cast.
The story is called Lonely at the Top, a Bromance. So the theme, Lonely at the Top, you get that, right? Because how it starts off is he's alone. And how does it end? He's alone. And how this loneliness at the top is what leads to their downfall. Their egos got in the way. And a bromance, you know what a bromance is? And I actually think that's the right way to look at it. As I said, some people see homoerotic undertones here. I don't see that. I just think it's a bromance. It's two men who really respect each other, appreciate each other. They fall for each other, but not in a physical way, in an emotional way.
Okay, son. Get down. I need you to come here. I want to tell you something that you really gotta hear about your dad, Reish Lakish, a thug phenomenon, and my pretty boy brother, Rabbi Yochanan. Gladiator, ripped, pirate, clever. Reish wasn't always good, but there was no one better, my dear son. I see Reish in you as you grow tall, how he loves the ladies, how he gave them his all. One day, Reish dove in the river, a champion swimmer, pursuing a woman like a shark approaching dinner. His target was a beauty second only to me. His target was my brother Yochanan. You see.
Just so, do you see what happened there? How they dive? So, Reish Lakish dives into the river thinking it's a woman because he's got his back. He's got his back to him. And then when he emerges from the river, he opens his eyes and sees a man. You see his eyes are big, like he's shocked.
He's so beautiful that when he walked his path listened, and so smart that when he talked, people listened, like the only one at a party wanting to dance. He was lonely at the top, my son and sister slipped romance. Yohanan's narration was like, dang boy, you could be a scholar, bring your strength to the book. And Rach was like, dang boy, always trying to holler, you could be a woman with those looks. To keep Rach around, he offered finer than he offered Rach marriage to me. Just say bye to gladiating, bye to thievery, and let's get into some Torah study. When two pieces fit just right, Yohanan's mind, Rach's might. One calls out black and the other calls white, and they tore through the day and the night. One day, in their studies, weapons came up, and my brother was like, you would know this stuff. And Raish was like, why the this? I was the master of that, and I'm the master of this. A small comment from a huge disaster. Yohanan saw Raish just wanting to be master. It wasn't about Torah, and it wasn't about God, and Yohanan got ill. He couldn't go on. I pleaded, forgive Raish, thinking you put this man of principle and the things that they do. Yohanan's mind left, Raish's body left too. That's how your dad died. Sounds crazy, but it's true. And now again, my brother was alone, having loved and lost, but the fault was his own. The rabbis missed Yohanan, the only sharp task, so they sent in a fresh rabbi to try to win him back. You're so right, Yohanan, this rabbi always said, just reminding him that his best friend was dead. I can't take this, please make the pain end. Where are you, my one and only friend?
I just want to mention one more thing before we end that I think is important to note about the video. What kind of a character is Reish Lakish's wife in this story? What kind of character, what role does she play, Reish Lakish's wife, Rabbi Yochanan's brother? It's very rare to have female voices in the Talmud. This is a story where there's a female voice. What role does she play?
She tries to mediate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She's the conciliator, the mediator. She's pleading with her brother, please, my husband is going to kill himself if you don't fix this. Please, my son doesn't have the father that he deserves because of your stubbornness. Her voice is a mediator, a conciliator. She's begging these powerful, stubborn men to come to terms. That little voice for the creator of this video becomes the narrator. And it's not an accident, by the way. I think very purposefully that voice, the woman's voice as the voice of reason, right? You stubborn jerks, please just put your differences aside and get along, right? Becomes the principal voice in this video. That was a choice that to make her voice the principal voice of the video is brilliant. It's highly creative. And then she narrates the story as if she's talking to her son, who has no uncle and no father because they couldn't put their differences aside, right? And I love that, is that the narrator is the impartial voice that tries to bring all sides, that tries to bring all sides fairly into the discussion, and she becomes the principal voice in the play, or in the movie. Yeah.
It's interesting that they're opposites is what attracts them to each other.
Yes.
And yet it becomes, and it really becomes their strength, because then the whole becomes greater than so much part.
Yeah, in the movie, it's Yochanan's brilliance. He's praised for his brilliance in the movie, and Reish Lakish's strength, Reish Lakish's might. And the lyrics say they were like two puzzle pieces that came together, which is nice. It's a nice way of saying neither of them was perfect. They were incomplete. They were both incomplete men, which by the way, I think is a subtle theological principle of the story. The story is about how rabbinic Judaism does not work with the authority of the smartest person in the room. Why? Because we're all puzzle pieces, imperfect. And only when we're joined together with multiple voices, when puzzle pieces come together, can Torah expand, can the truth come out. Therefore, I think it's very purposeful that the Talmud depicts both Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan, but especially Rabbi Yochanan, as imperfect. and why there's this prelude to the story of, look what a self-obsessed jerk he was. He was the smartest. He was respected. People would listen to everything that he had to say. But in Judaism, that's not enough. He had all of these aspects of his personality which were unhelpful, which might lead him astray. He needed to have somebody there to question him, to debate him. That was Reish Lakish's role. And when it was gone, did they actually die? I don't know the answer to the question, but I think the Talmud saying they both died is a way of the Talmud saying, right, they no longer had anything. Torah died. What they could have created, what they could have produced together, that's what died. And so you must have a good person to study with, to spar with, or you may as well be dead. See you next Monday. Good.